What's up, guys? I'm back, and I thought I'd just go ahead and talk about the arrangement part of the track while I'm thinking about it. So, one thing you can see, put this down for a minute, is I have these labels in my Logic Pro session, and I've got 16 bars of intro, then another 16 called drums in, then I think 32 of build, and then a 64 bar drop, and then a breakdown, et cetera, et cetera. And these markers kind of help me as I start sketching out the tunes. Like I said, I wrote the intro first, and then I realized I wanted this to be a neurofunk thing, and then I kind of made the drop, or what I would call the drop, where the drums are really in and the bass is in hard. And so then I got to kind of build into the drop. So compositionally, what I try to do is kind of create these, try to think of it as, if I could think of it in a simple way, think of it intensity versus time. So I want to bring the track in kind of at a decently high intensity level to kind of grab, in this case, the listener's attention. And then I kind of bring the drums in and have a little bit more intensity. And then I bring it back down, right? Because here I don't really have the drums going off like crazy. And then it's steady at about the same intensity level, and then at the drop it goes up, and this is the most intense part of the track. And actually I'd say maybe it kind of goes like this. It kind of builds, and then it kind of steadily goes down a little bit, and then it falls big time into the breakdown. And then again, the breakdown is kind of more of like this, and into even a bigger drop, and then it kind of falls off. So why is this one bigger than that? Just because I've added more strings over here and things like that, layers. And so this is, this really stupid paintbrush drawing is kind of I don't necessarily think like this when I'm writing it, but that's kind of how it always ends up. If you listen to some of my other material, I often will kind of make it more of a build, like kind of like get a different color, get red. Red's cool. There's a lot for my other stuff. A lot of times I'll kind of do like this, like a bell curve almost. But this track has a lot more tension and release. And I'm a huge fan of tension and release in all kinds of music. So if you think about like your favorite pop songs or even jazz or whatever, if a horn player is kind of playing the head of a jazz tune and then they go into a solo break, they'll often their solo or their improvisational section will build, and then they'll kind of have some release. And that's what kind of, almost in all music, you kind of get that. Tension and release is a really good way to kind of build interest and keep your listener engaged. And that's kind of what I do. And as you can see, you can almost visually see it here as where there's a lot of red, it's really intense. There's a lot of drums going on, and the bass is here. If I was to expand the bass bus, you can see the bass gets even more busy as it goes along. And then if you look at my intensity graph, the black one, you can see the bass comes in, and then I got even more bass here with these neuro hits. And then I kind of pull them out, and then I bring them back in, but then this art builder is kind of bringing us into this breakdown section that just kind of has this big ramp into the second drop. And, I think, like, when I listen to some of the OSC tunes, I think a lot of people do a really good job of this, but that's one thing I'd say. There's some tunes, right, that have excellent sound design, but then either it kind of feels like they just kind of keep going without any building or interest change. And I think this is one compositionally where I think you can really do a lot to really grab your listener's attention. So as I'm doing the sound design, I might go, going into the drop, I need there's just something missing. It's just not intense enough. So, I add this riser thing, right, going into this drop. Or coming into the next breakdown, I wanted to bring this ARP pattern back in. And so I just literally drag the MIDI parts over here and kind of demo it and say, okay, yeah, that works. And then in the breakdown, I bring, in the drop where there's more activity, I want to have less sound in this effects area just because I want the focus to be on the bass and the drums. But then in the breakdown, kind of make it more atmospheric again and kind of give the listener a break and prepare them for the next section. So electronic music is almost guilty of being too tension release oriented. I'm guilty of it too. I like it. It's fun to do it. And probably a better composer or songwriter, songcrafter could, use less of that and more of a classical sense, changes in keys or modulation, more harmonic interest to have a similar interest effect. But for me, this is kind of what I like to do and how I go about arranging it. The last video I mentioned this this thing called FLS Rhodes it's a patch I guess that I edited originally to get this creepy Rhodes pad thing. And again, this was the last element I added just because it needed a little something in the arrangement to add a little more tension to the arrangement. And so that's really how I go about it. It's a lot by accident. It's a lot of trial and error. It's, sometimes I'll be on a run or something and then something will just pop into my head like, oh, that'd be really cool if I added some kind of like bell sound that kind of goes off in the background or sounds really far away. And then I'll just spend like an hour trying to figure out how to make that sound or whatever. And you can kind of make yourself mad doing it, but that's the idea. So no music in this video, just kind of wanted to show you how I think about the arrangement and this really cheesy diagram. So I think in the final video, we'll talk about mix and master, and we'll call it good after that. So thanks for watching.